Good morning. Got a headset on today because I don't want to make too much noise for the wife. She's still in her room sleeping, so I'm just gonna sit here with my headset on. So, welcome into the show. Thanks, guys, for showing up. I got a couple of you in here. If you guys got any questions about heavy equipment or whatever, send it my way. Throw it in chat, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. I got a few things lined up today, some that are pleasurable, some not so much pleasurable. So, first thing today, I want to talk about guys that are new coming onto projects and just getting into your first day or first week or whatever, or just being a young guy coming onto a job site. When you come out to the job sites, you want to show up early. Now, I've got a few guys on my crew that are fairly young. They're the newer generation that are showing up. And they show up like right at starting time, getting out of their cars. We're ready for stretch and flex to get going and move and start heading out to work. They're still tying their shoes, putting clothes on to go to work. This is unacceptable. If you want to be successful in this line of work, you guys need to show up 30 minutes early at the most. 20 minutes is okay. 10 minutes is pushing it in my world. And if you're showing up 5 minutes before work, back when I started, they'd send you home. They say, listen, if you're not going to be here on time, which is early, to go to work and be on your machine or at stretch and flex at start time, whether it be 6 a.m., 7 a.m., or whatever your start time is, you guys got to be there and ready to go and ready to move. So, secondly, your equipment, your PPE, your personal protective equipment. You got to have a good pair of boots, something that you can eat. Most likely, if you're on the ground, you want something that's going to lace up high ankles that'll help support your ankles. Lace them up nice and tight. A pair or two. If you're new and you have new boots, you're probably going to wear 2 pairs of socks, unless they're really thick socks. This is going to be for your break-in period to help soften that break-in period, because otherwise your feet are going to be just absolute ruined because you're not used to wearing boots. If you're a heavy equipment operator, keys. Guys, grab a set of keys off Amazon. You can buy a 15 key set of basic keys that is for everything you're most likely going to be using, for like less than $10. Okay, you need to have a set of keys to show up at work. Don't show up at work and say, "Hey, I need a key." So first day may be acceptable. Your boss is probably going to tell you, go to Amazon, buy a set of keys, and get them shipped here as soon as possible. So it's just a whole lot of stuff that you need to have. You wear your glasses, wear your hard hats, wear your stuff. Now, for us in my little world, once you get on the equipment, our policy is you can take your hard hat off. If your windows and cab is shut, then you can take your safety glasses off. Me, I take my safety glasses off a lot because I have a hard time seeing in a ditch sometimes, because the color gradients, if you have a nice bright day, the surface of the ground is going to be really bright and the ditch is going to be dark in the bottom, unless it's high portion of the day. What do I mean by keys? I don't have a set with me. I have them in my truck where they belong. It's a set of keys for equipment, so that way you can start the machine and get your day rolling. So, yes, universal keys for the equipment. Clay done. You just a cat key, Komatsu key, Kabelco, some of the mini excavators, different types of mini excavators, Bobcat, stuff like that. A basic set of keys off of Amazon will easily get you started on what you need to do or get rolling. So now that we're past that little rant that I have, is you got to be ready for work. You got to, when you show up, you've got to be ready to rock and roll and go at 7 a.m. That means you're either walking to your equipment or you're on your equipment at 7 a.m. ready to rock and roll. Whether you guys have a stretch and flex, which is a real good idea. You guys should try stretching a little bit, at least your shoulders, because I've got bad shoulders after doing this for 30 plus years. My shoulders are in real bad shape. Probably going to have them worked on at some point. So that should tell you a little bit. All right, so I got a couple of videos here that are satisfying videos. I mean, they're from other countries. Let me get this sorted out for you. Nope, not the display I want. There. And then we'll get. Why is it like that? Okay, there's better. All right, so what I've got here is a video of a piece of equipment that is going to be digging out. So this is one of those moments that's super satisfying. So what we've got going on here is they're relieving a lake that's in the background here. There's water that's being retained for whatever reason. Maybe it's just there because there was a rainstorm and it's collected, but it looks like there's a big valley, so it's probably a river or a creek. They dammed it up so they could do concrete work or whatever. So they're trying to relieve that. Now this channel over here is actually got water in it. That's black area. That's not dirt. That's actual water. We'll see that here in a minute. So I'll go ahead and hit play. I'm gonna mute it because there's not a whole lot going on in there. You just hear the machine and a bunch of guys in a foreign language talking. So when I mean this is a satisfying video, is that breaking a dam, being the guy that gets to break the dam, is just amazing. So we got some crumbling going on, and this is going to be where you come in and you take that final scoop where the dam actually breaks and that water starts to flow. And it's, I don't know how to explain how satisfying it is when you break that dam and the water starts to flow and you had the power of changing all of this and getting it going. But we can see that they broke through this concrete wall. Now it is elevated. You'll see that a little bit later, that it's elevated above the water that's running in the canal already. It's probably about a 4-foot elevation change, so the water's just going to flow in and fall off. And it's going to prevent a lot of the material falling into the channel, but a lot of this material is going to fall into that channel. So we'll skip ahead a little bit here. So he's breaking that dam directly. It's got a lot of rock in it. Either the guy doesn't know what he's doing or he's trying to take too big of a bite here. But he wants to take that glory shot and bite, and you can see how much water starts flowing every time you pull out. Now, if you notice where the machine is sitting compared to where he's working, now here's a good shot. He's got it nice and open up, but look how far back the machine is sitting. Machine's sitting pretty far back, and so that way you can see all this edge is crumbling away as this water runs. So now he's in a safe area where he's far enough away from this ledge that it's not going to cave off and he's not going to fall into the hole along with in the water. And then it's a whole nother ordeal and problem. And last week, we saw that where an edge broke on one of these dams and these guys were working downhill from it, and a guy got stuck on an excavator, had to jump out of the machine, it got flooded. Apparently the guy was just fine. So the weird thing here is if we look at this video, look at the water level, how high this water level is. It wasn't this high earlier. See how low the water level is? So that means water's being pumped into this, or maybe there was a dam break uphill or a flash flood or something, and they knew the water was coming, so they had to make this hole to relieve that pressure. So you can see how much it came up, and they're doing this to help relieve the pressure off this to keep it from going over the top and flooding out a whole bunch of area that they don't want to get flooded. So this is just a controlled water spill. All right. Give me a minute. I'm going to set up another video here. We'll check and see what I've got done next. So on the in the lines of an expert versus a new operator on thought processes. So some of you, if you're into watching these videos, you may see some of these training videos and whatnot.
Experienced excavator operators. Despite his best efforts, the beginner struggles to scoop up the stone with the machine and ends up having to get off and manually load it. Luckily, the stone is light enough for him to lift. Now let's see how a seasoned excavator operator tackles the same task. This is the difference.
So there you go. That's a seasoned excavator operator versus someone that doesn't have a clue what they're doing and doesn't know how to manipulate objects on the ground to do what they want to do. So it's thinking outside of the box, trying to get things to do what you want it to do, so you don't have to get off the machine. That is something that I learned early because I worked with a small company where I had to check my own grade, and that's why I got really good at following my own grade, is because I hated getting off the machine to hold a rod out there or a level or whatever system I was using at the time to check my grade. And so I got good at pulling grade and only having to check my grade every 20 to 30 feet. So let's move on to this is a drag line. This is just cool stuff here. I love this. We actually have a drag line that's close close to where I'm at. It's about 30 minutes away.
It usually sits right around 6,000-ish. If they've got the calibrator right.
Oh, there's Hoffa right there. Oh no.
So this is the kind of banter I wanted you guys to hear that portion, because that's the kind of banter you hear between construction workers. If we make jokes about everything on our own job sites. But I've never run one of these. I've always wanted to. These things are amazing, powerful machines. They're huge, multi-million-dollar machines.
Jay, please post your video.
A lot to get to a scene like this.
So where are you guys all from?
I've been everywhere. Yeah.
So basically, they're doing a demonstration dig here for a bunch of people. Now these cabs are big enough that you can have a bunch of people standing behind the operator, being able to talk to them, and so because it's in an area where you're isolated. The couple of people, you could have a spotter watching for other equipment around. That way, the operator, if he doesn't notice something, will be able to see what's going on. But these drag lines are really cool. It's all cable stuff. The newer ones are hydraulic on the cable systems. Not sure what he's doing. But it's in that hole back there. If he's the one that dug all that hole, it looks pretty amazing. But he's somewhere where it's cold, that's for sure. Look how far out. Get that thing swinging, and that if you swing it right, that bucket will go pretty far away from the machine. All right. Let's move on to the next clip I've got here. Oh, I'll pause that. All right, Ditch Witch. This is a directional bore. These are the guys that were in my front yard. These isn't the actual company, but this is like a sales place, I think, where they sell equipment. But I just wanted to show you the machine. These ditch witches, you've got a pile of drill steel over here that's in the machine. This whole machine is pretty much automatic. You tell it what you want it to do, and it just kind of flips over. But you can see here, there's the drill steel going. See, it tightens up right here, makes the connection, release. It's not always that fast. I'm guessing this was a pre-done hold. They're just doing a demonstration of its capabilities, showing that it actually works. And this is a smaller machine where you can actually hand the steel down into it. Some of them are automated. They'll actually drop the drill steel in and line it up for you. I have no idea. Oh, this is the pump for pumping water into the steel. So it goes into the actual head, and that's why there's so much water. Because there's water or something being injected through the steel. Because these are hollow, so they inject a solution and it's bentonite. It acts as a lubricant as they're augering through, and it also fills the hole that they create. Because the head, the spoon on their head, is bigger than the pipe, so you have to fill that void to keep it from collapsing. So now he's going through the operation of pulling everything back out. So that little thing you see up here, that's like a squeegee. It's taking off all the material off the drill rods, so that way they're not all dirty. You can see the fluid falling out of the hole there. Any questions? Think it's cool? Try to get to the. I want to see the head. All right, so this is the part that I call the spoon, and this is what they call it. It's actually just a curved piece of metal that's on there, and it just like carves as it goes through, and you can see it's slightly larger, and you can see the water being injected through it. Now this was just a demonstration, so they're not adding in the bentonite and whatever else to the solution. Now, this is something that we're going to see, that you may see in the future a lot. For you young guys getting into the industry, this is something that's going to be seen a lot. This is fusion. This is in a foreign country. That's why we're all in sandals. This is not the way it should be done. But this is just a good example of a video that I'm allowed to use. So we're going to throw our plastic pipe in here. I'm going to lock it into place. Get your other part that you're going to join in. Now, it's real important that you get these pipes perfectly level and exactly facing each other. You can see he's got a little bit of a bend. The other guy's starting to hold it up. Now, these machines will range from down to 6-inch. I think they may even have some 4-inch ones, but it usually ranges around 6-inch up to like 24. I think they may even do 36-inch. joints. So this is actually pretty cool. Let's get past all the tightening stuff down. All right, so you got a little hand crank. This is a heat plate, or no, this is a trimmer. Okay, so what these are going to do is they're going to pull these two pipes together, and they're going to trim off a certain amount to make sure that the mating surface is virgin and clean. This gets rid of any debris, holes, or anything that's going to prevent it from having a good connection. Make sure there's no burrs, make sure there's no debris. Now he's going to wind it back together, and he's going to check the mating surface to make sure it's smooth and put together nice and there's no cracks, that it's actually going to weld itself together. Now this is the hot plate. It's already hot. It's made of a material that's not going to stick to the plastic. Now there's a time limit. This is actually all supposed, at least in America or here in California, we have to have everything on a stopwatch. So it's not just a how does it feel. You actually run a stopwatch, and it has to heat up for a certain amount of time, so you have enough heat to get enough of each side hot, so that way when it goes together and gets pushed together, you'll watch it push together and it'll actually melt together and fuse. And this is the fusion process. All right, so they got it hot. You can see it's got a little bit of a bead on it. Pushing it together, it actually rolls a little bit. Now, again, you sit here and you wait. So he's got a cold rag. He's trying to make sure that it's clean and that it's cooling properly. So it's got to stay together for another certain amount of time, depending on pipe thickness and size. He's doing a pinch test, which is not a thing, at least not here. So once he gets that done, once it cools and it's all, he thinks it's ready, he'll take the machine back apart, the pipe will be fused together and done. So now he thinks it's done. The cooling process continues while he's disassembling. There's also another machine that we have that will deburr that little piece, that rib off of it. Some industries want it deburred. All right, commercial. But that's that. So, any questions on that? Because that's something that's becoming very popular these days. There's a lot of, we're doing a lot of that kind of joining of pipe. It's fast. You can do a lot of it. It's very time consuming putting the joints together. It takes time to do each and every joint that way, but it allows the excavator operator that's digging to trench as much footage as if you want. You just take this pipe and it just rolls into the hole, staying together, or a bunch of excavators pick it up and drop it in for the entire length of the trench. And that way it's just drop it in, bury it, and go. It's not like what we normally do where you put it together. There's a little rubber in there, gasket, and you shove the pipes, spigot and bell together, and then continue to go. And then when you do your air test, you're hoping all these spigot and bells that are put together are not going to leak. So in rubbers on those, when you put them together, they do have a tendency sometimes to actually, you can cut the rubber sometime. If you put it in at too hard of an angle, the pipe will actually cut through the rubber and cause a leak. There's a lot of other things, debris, not enough lubrication when you slam it together to cause problems. All right, so what we have here is a interesting contraption. 50-ton machine, roughly a 50-ton machine with a clamshell bucket digging out of a deep hole. This is slow operation. Operator can't see what he's doing, but you can feel what's going on.
On this episode of the vlog, we are showing you Vancouver's deepest dig to date, the one and shoring contractors. Bell Pacific has worked on numerous, hence Bell projects across the Lower Mainland and.
But the operation is basically you throw all the dirt. If you want to get your material out of a deep hole, so you can see here this job started we're at 5 feet, I would say. They've probably off-hauled a lot of material out of this hole at this point. It looks like it was probably an old building because I can see some concrete here. So they probably demoed a building that was here prior. This was the basement, so it looks to be about 2 stories deep. So they excavated that out. They've already got some shoring put in here, the old walkway. And this is just preventing caving in. So they're going to bring in that machine to do this deep excavation, collecting all the rebar from the old building, old sub-basement, and they're probably using trucking to haul everything at this point. When you get to a certain point, we go to long reach. Long reach will be able to reach to the bottom of the hole to a certain point. This is faster than the clamshell, not much, but it is a little faster than the clamshell. The clamshell doesn't hold as much material. You can see the operator's just hanging off the edge. He can still see the hole, see the material that is being stacked up. Now, one thing you can see here is these little nails that are sticking out of the wall. So what they've done is you dig down 5 feet, and this is something that we used to do. You dig down 5 feet, and they put up these soil nails. So you drill a soil nail 30, 50 feet into the wall, and you fill it with a solution, a concrete solution, which locks a bar, that soil nail, into position. And you do this like every 5 feet. So they'll be separated 5 feet apart here at 5 to 10 feet, something like that, whatever the engineer called for. And what this does is this is reverse shoring. Instead of having a hydraulic jack that holds the wall up, you're relying on the friction of a soil nail to hold back the wall from caving in. And this is done every 5 feet. They'll drop down, do it, and then they'll spray gunite over the top of it, and there's a plate that's about, I don't know, a 10 to 12 inch plate that holds this wall out, and there'll be rebar, wire, or whatever that helps tie into these plates that help hold the entire wall up. So it's not just one little spot it's holding up. So I've started doing this. I've been adding my own little camera onto my machine, and that's what that little thing was here. It was a camera so the operator can see when it's out of view. Where is it? So you have limited visibility, but it is wired. It's not wireless, so it's not a Bluetooth camera. So this is an industrial version. Like, I've used my GoPros or my Insta360 to be able to do the same thing, but I'm using a magnet to stick it on and be able to see what I'm doing down in the deep holes. And again, these guys are just stacking the material up against the wall so they can get it out of the hole. Ah, here we go.
Holes for anchor bars in locations predetermined by engineers. Bell Pacific used both hollow bar and normal anchors on this project. Installing anchor bars is similar to how you would drill a long screw into a stud in the wall of your home. Once drilling is complete, a grout tube is inserted and specified amount of grout pumped into the hole, followed by the installation of the anchor bar. Rebar pins, also called soil nails, are then installed and screen mesh secured to the soil nails, followed by the bearing plate and nut to the end of the anchor bar.
So I've always been told this is a soils nail. They're calling this little piece of rebar, they're shoving that in probably about 3 feet. and anchoring the wire mesh that's going to hold up all the gunite or whatever they're spraying on the wall. But we've always called this soils nail. And the bearing plate, you can see it's grabbing that mesh. Weeping pipe, that's for catching any water that may be behind in between the concrete and this wall that they've excavated.
Shotcrete is then sprayed over the entire panel, completing the panel. After shotcrete cures, the anchor bar is loaded and pull tested to the engineer's specification using a hydraulically powered tool. Once the anchor pin is tensioned, the nut is secured against the bearing plate and the anchor is...
Okay, so what we're doing here is this is actually a hydraulic jack that is pulling on that nail and adding tension to it, so that way it's pre-tensioned with force pulling on the wall. It's not just put in, sprayed on, and you just throw a nut on it. It's actually tensioned, so it's pre-tensioned to have force to hold that wall up.
A hydraulically powered tool. Once the anchor pin is tensioned,
so this is where the guy is they've tensioned the bar, they've pulled it hard. You can see that there's a nut right here. They're gonna tighten down the nut on that plate. That's gonna hold it in place, and then they'll release the pressure off the end of the bar so they can remove their tension machine, and the bar will be set and have a certain, whatever, like they said, the engineered design force pulling on it. You can see they've done the shotcrete over here, which is gunite basically, and on their first layer behind all the mesh just to get it started. So when they tension these things, it has something to pull it, and then they'll shotcrete again over the top of it and cover that plate up.
the nut is secured against the bearing plate and the anchor is now under load, supporting the excavation walls.
So you can see what I was talking about, going 5 feet at a time. So they're doing a little bit larger sections than 5 feet. So they're doing the soil nails in a row. So right in here, they're setting up, painting out where all the next row of soil nails will be put in place. And they've got good ground here. So this is good, solid, hard ground. No worry of cave in. It's not as bad as some materials I've seen. I've seen other videos where these walls have caved in and buildings next to them has fallen into the holes. It's dangerous work.
This process is then repeated to the adjacent panel where the virgin dirt was, and excavation then continues vertically downward.
So this is an interesting thing. Because they're doing more than 5 feet in a lift, they're doing about 7 to 10 feet. So they're leaving these little holes. They're leaving some material to hold up the wall, and then they're excavating looks like about a 12-foot section at a time, where they'll put the soils nails in, do the shotcrete, and then they'll remove the material in between the two sections. And it's a better, it's
Interestingly enough, this type of shoring is only temporary, as the building concrete foundation will later butt up against these panels, forming a permanent foundation wall. Once the excavation got deeper, soon no longer could the Cat 330.
Here's the clamshell in operation. So this is just gigantic extend hose, all it is. Not as fast as an excavator will do it, but when you get to certain depths, you gotta use something else. And this is what they've chosen to use, this clamshell system.
I got a Mazzaro knife, and what followed was an absolute fiasco.
All right. Well, there's some other portions of that video here.
Here's what really...
You got some time lapse of the machine working. Now we're looking at end of the job. Machine's got to come out of the hole. So they are going to hook up the machine to a crane, and they're going to lift this machine out of the hole. Now there are designated picking points on these machines. I'm not sure. They're the professionals at doing this, so they've got it figured out. You can see inside they have the picking holes, but it doesn't look like that's what they're using. They're actually just going through the frame all the way across to pick it up, which could get a wider picking location. But again, so they got no bucket on it, which is taking weight off the front end. So the rope this guy is holding onto is what's called a tag line. And once that machine gets airborne and starts coming off the ground, it is totally a dangerous situation, especially for the guys holding the tag line. They're the closest people to the operation being picked up. Now, this is a lot of weight on this wall. This is where that wall is at its most strain, because there's nothing really holding it up except for these soils nails. So if that wall were to fail right now, the excavator, crane, everything falls into the hole, and they're doing it in line with this tower crane. So if they were to fall, they'd hit the tower crane. If the operator's in the tower crane, he's dead. And you can see they're coming, lining up another machine, getting ready to pull out another machine. Other operators up here moving it out of the way. Now, I've picked machines up out of the holes before, small machines, just like little CTLs and stuff like that. I've never done anything like that because I don't have a machine big enough that'll pick up another excavator, unless it's like a little mini excavator. And they load them up, haul them off. All right, I got one more video. Nope, that was the beginners. I did that one, did that one. All right. Yep. So, unless you guys got some more questions or anything to throw at me, looks like we're just down to the two guys. Who's still with me? I know, Tran, you're probably still in here. If you guys can, if you have the ability, smash the like button for me. That'll help. I do have a small update on my project I've been working on. Let me get it sorted. All right, here we go. So what I've got here is, here I am, got my coffee cup, water bottle on the floor, and I am boomed out as far as I can go down into my hole. This is as deep as that machine will go, and we're just barely scratching the bottom. I think at this point what I had is the guys were down in the bottom of the hole hand shoveling material into the bucket. You can see here we put up the safety railing around the hole. Hole is about, the shoring is 20 feet. We're slightly below the shoring, so it's around 20, 21 feet. We've hard lined in a 3-inch pump, which is maintaining the water level below the rock. Everything was done there. And then, that's not the one I was looking for. This is another one. Okay, here we go. So here, this is the boring company that's doing the hole. So this is the back of the pit. The front of the pit is where I'm standing. These are the rails for the actual auger machine that's going to go in the hole. Right here, we're going to take some of these panels, these slide rails, we're going to slide those up, or they're not slide rails, what are they? Sheet piles. The sheet piles, I'll pull up a couple sheet piles, and then they're going to take and cut a couple little bits out of the one on the left and the right. So you see these are pulled up. They're going to cut a little bit off of here, cut a little bit off of there, so it's a nice tight fit, so they don't have to worry about material coming back into the hole. There's a wide shot. There's the machine. Now I had to lower these down. Their crane wasn't capable of lowering the weight of this because they couldn't sit close enough to the hole. So I used my excavator, my Cabelco 350, to lower these down, and these were tight fits. So they had to go crisscross across this instead of going straight down, because this pipe is actually longer than these crossbars are. So we had to turn it sideways and fit just barely through there, get it all lined up, and drop it into place. Same thing with the drill machine that's going to push this pipe into the ground with the auger. I was hoping to get video of the machine working, but I never got over there to get any video or pictures. So this is the receiving pit. We've got 3 of the sheet piles pulled up, exposing the receiving pit side. And this was the other project that we were working on, doing a tie-in from that big deep hole that we had. So this is all the way on the other end of the job from where we were just at. So we had that big huge pit with a slide rail shoring that I had made a video of. I think I made video of it, but I don't think I've produced it for the main channel yet. Transition manhole, and this is our force main side, and then this other side is the gravity feed. So over here it turns from 2 pipes, a 12-inch and an 8-inch, to a single, what size is it? I think it's 18-inch pipe that goes into the manhole. It turns 90 degrees and then goes downward to another manhole that's right back here that goes into the main 108-inch pipe that goes to the sewer system. So this whole project is all done just to get sewage from point A to point B. So it's about 1.5 miles of pipe that we're doing just to get the sewer from a housing project, to this sewer line, to that big sewer line. And you see the guy down here, he's got the torch, he was working on it. There's another guy welding on the other side. So you see him here, he's cutting through the steel there to make room for the pipe. And this guy here is cutting, he's not cutting, he's welding on little tags and alignment bits that help keep the machine straight, so that way they can see what their alignment is. And that's all of those photos. So this is here, this is the picture, this is after the box is set. We haven't done collars on it or anything yet. And I've got another series of pictures here for you. So this is, we had to pour channels into this. So this is the guys hand forming a channel for the 8-inch and the 12-inch going into the 18-inch. So this is close to the finished product. They're still going to butter this up a little bit better, but you can see we put in the mortar and whatnot to help retain the pipe and center seal it. Same thing on this side. It was done here and over here, and I've pushed material up so the guys have something to stand on, so it's safer for them. Tracer tape, or it's just tape that says what kind of pipe is buried below. There's a foot of rock over the top of the pipe, and that's pretty much standard. And then stacking, the final stacking of it. So we've got the lid put on, and then 2 barrels and a flat top, and then a casting will go on the top. And there is a flapper pipe. So this pipe, this is not a air vent pipe. What this is this is going to be a dump station for sewage vacuum trucks that clean out sewer manholes and stuff like that. They can come out here. There'll be a rock road. They'll be able to pull up to this station. There'll be a little hole in the ground or something like that where they can just pump their sewage into the pipe. It'll go in, fall inside that box, and then go down and out and go to the sewer station. But every joint needs to be mortared and sealed so there's no sewer smell or anything like that escaping any of the gases. And that's all I've got. So that's the last of those. So I'm going to call that. That's put in 50 minutes. All right, that's not a bad one today. So I actually had some good stuff lined out. I was just about to walk to church. I'll catch up in the rest of the stream this afternoon. You'll have a great day. All right, Clay Dunn, thank you for hanging out. Thanks for coming in. Tran, I'm guessing you're my last guy watching. So if you guys are coming in and watching this at a later time, thanks for watching the show. Thanks for hanging out with me. For any of the guys that showed up, don't forget to like and subscribe on the video when you get a chance. I need subscribers on this channel because not a lot of people watch my live stuff. So if you guys like and share, let other people know that I do this every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. I know people go to church. This is my church, so I don't need to do anything outside of that, because good people, there are some people that are just good in the world, and there are other people that need church. But anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. It's a pleasure to teach you guys. I love doing this. I love passing on information. If you guys ever have any questions, throw the comments down below in the comment section. Ask me questions. I am more than happy to answer any question. There's no question that's too stupid. If you don't know it and you want to know it, ask the question. I will give you the answer. All right, guys. Thank you again for hanging out with me. As always, keep your butt level and your ditch straight.